fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Core Class Concept Art Decepticon Rumble from the Transformers Studio series from Hasbro. So this is made from concept art for the Transformers Bumblebee movie. They had obviously drawn up some designs for Rumble, but he never made it to the final film. And now they've decided to make a figure for him based on those concept designs. You can see the artwork up here on the top flap. Up here, just have the Bumblebee logo. Over here, a little close-up of that same artwork. Over here, kind of the same artwork with, I don't know, some kind of energizing pattern happening there, which is kind of neat. This is that standard plastic-free packaging, so there's no window here on the front. You can reach right in and touch the figure. Over here on the back, you have some nice product shots of the robot mode and the, we'll just say, alt mode. Basically, he becomes one of these rectangular prisms that can go inside Soundwave's chest from the Bumblebee movie, much like Ravage did. So, gonna go ahead, get Rumble out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here is Rumble out of the packaging. I mean, he's a cool little guy. I have to say they really did go above and beyond with the paint applications, and I assume that's because they have more budget for this figure. When you think about the fact that this guy is like $9.99, $10.99, depending on where you pick him up, he's quite small, so they kind of went all out on the paint applications, which I do appreciate. Head sculpt is pretty cool, rather basic, but I like the visor. He's got kind of just a face plate there, no mouth or anything like that. But all of this detailing on the chest does look pretty good. You have the light blue paint applications. You have a little bit of yellow down here, the red and the yellow on the shins and feet. He's got two peg holes here for the back. He does come with two accessories. So let's take a look at those. You kind of have this random blaster, and then you also have this random blaster. I kind of wish that they were the same thing twice. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but just for symmetry, I kind of wish they were the same, but what are you going to do? So you just take this and peg this one on the back, and then peg this one right next to it. I don't think it really matters if you want to switch them. You certainly can, but you can see one kind of stays farther back than the other. I wish at least if they were going to make them different, they would at least be the same distance from the body. I think it has to do with how they peg in for the transformation, but so he does kind of have the guns on his back to kind of complete that iconic look. Unfortunately, he doesn't have hands. He's just got the pile drivers. I was kind of hoping that the hands would be kind of molded in here, and then you could just kind of rotate it at like a bicep swivel, so you could have hands and then rotate it pile drivers. I would have been fine with something as simple as that. But there's really no articulation in the arms whatsoever because of the way it transforms. You can see these giant hinges. The whole arm's kind of accordion in on themselves, and we'll see that in a moment. So because of that, there's really no articulation in the arms themselves. There's shoulder movement, and we'll get into that in a moment, but there's no bicep swivel. There's no swivel anywhere. The other thing is, I was kind of hoping with these guns, you can see how they kind of have like peg spots, and they have these little tabs and things. This one has a tab slot. I was kind of hoping that he would be able to maybe like peg that on the side of the hand or something, or even just kind of connect it to the end, just, you know, so he would have some way of using the guns. Even if he didn't have hands, maybe you could at least tab them on. And it almost looks like you can. Like there's this little tab right here, and there's a tab slot here, but this giant hinge gets in the way. So this tab is actually for the transformation, which again we'll see in a moment, but if only they could have found a way to make it just be a little bit further down so he could kind of peg that onto his hand, I think that would have been cool and given him something to do. Now you can peg the two guns together to kind of make one larger gun, and then I guess one of your larger Transformers is supposed to wield this, but I feel like in the hand of a larger Transformer this would look kind of dinky. Let's see, who do I have handy? We'll use Magnius. And also, just for a size comparison, you can see how much smaller this guy is to kind of a standard deluxe here. But if Magnius were to wield this, and I think that's why this is obviously to peg into the back, but then this is the size that would fit into a normal robot's hand, which is again why I think this has that longer, you know, handle, which makes it protrude from the body. But if we pop this in Magnius's hand, I mean, that looks kind of ridiculously small, so I feel like it's trying to serve two things and not really accomplishing either, which is kind of a bummer. But there you go. So it can be wielded by a larger Transformer. But again, this is a deluxe. Here's this little guy. Super tiny. So we'll put him off to the side. Zoom back in here. What can this guy do? So we'll leave these off for now. Again, I think the head sculpt looks good. It is on a ball joint, so you can kind of look about that far forward because it kind of hits into this weird, like, collar they've given him in the front. You can look back, look up about that far. Certainly spin side to side, no problem. You can tilt a little bit side to side, so decent movement. I feel like this didn't need to go up. Like, you could still build this out, but not have it come up so much so that he could kind of look down, but it is what it is. You have this movement here, so you can see the hinge there in the shoulder so that this can come up, and then you have a mushroom peg here, which is very visible on the back, so you can see that move around. Actually, I guess it might be fully connected. It looks like a mushroom peg, but it does have a little bit more to it. I don't know. It works fine. But then again, this is one solid thing. Can't rotate these, can't move them around. The little pile drivers have Decepticon symbols on them, but they're upside down. So there's that. He does have a pretty nice ab crunch. It's part of the transformation, but you can certainly utilize it in robot mode. And then the hips have these really tight, like, hinges out to the side. They're really tight on mine. And then, of course, you can kick forward as well. And this is, again, two mushroom pegs set right next to each other in that same area. So you can kick forward. And then there's a ball joint down here for the knee. So that these feet, they really move around a lot. Like, if I even just pick the figure up, they tend to go up like this. They really, like, for transformation, they peg in snugly like this, which is good. I wish there was a way, like, when you put them down like this, they kind of clicked into place and held in this full robot mode, but they don't. He doesn't really have trouble standing. I'll give him that. You know, he has big feet, big enough heels. I mean, now, of course, he's going to fall over and make me a liar, but otherwise, there we go. Not too bad. Like I said, you got a ball joint here for the knee, so you can move that all around. No thigh swivel, anything like that. Just out to the side, front to back, at the hip. Ball joint for the knee. So if you want to kind of put the feet out to the side for, you know, giving them a little bit more stability, you can do something like that. Not too bad. As far as getting him to use the pile drivers, obviously they are much shorter than his body. So you would have to kind of maybe utilize the ab crunch a little bit, and even that's not really enough, so you kind of have to get him to really, like, squat. And then still can't really touch the ground with the pile drivers, so not really the most successful. I almost kind of wish they would do like they did with the 86 Rumble release, where they were just pieces you could clip on. Like, I wish he had regular hands, and then just give him extra accessories. Because these aren't really hands, they aren't really piled. I mean, I guess they are pile drivers, but it's very difficult to kind of get him to touch the ground there. He's kind of doing squat thrusts. You know, he's going to do burpees. He's going to go down. He's going to do the push-up. He's going to come back up, stand up. It's part of his workout regimen. So, I don't know. He's a cool little dude. I like the design. I like the colors. I like the paint. I wish he had molded in hands, and I wish, even like I said, if you could just rotate this, if there was just a swivel here, so I could rotate this 90 degrees, because then I could also kind of use this as an elbow. It would serve a dual purpose. It would be for the transformation, it could be an elbow. If they had just molded in some hands over here on this side and given us a rotation, 90 degrees, that's it. I would have had a built-in elbow. The hand is molded into the pile driver. I would have been perfectly fine with that. And then, like I said, if there was a way I could actually attach the weapon with that tab. I don't expect him to drill a hole in that, because that's probably not large enough to do that, and I get that. But by having the tab a little bit lower, you could have popped the gun on there, and it would have been great. I think it would have been really pretty good. So yeah, he's not perfect. He's definitely not perfect. But let's go ahead, we'll get into his transformation here. Alright, so transformation for this guy is pretty simple. You're going to start off by utilizing these two hinges here, and we're just going to kind of accordion the hand or full arm, I should say, in on itself to make something that looks like that. So do the same over here and just kind of push them all together and they'll kind of tab together. And then you're going to take these and rotate them up, and you can kind of see how there's these like little tab pieces sticking up. They're the ones you want up so that they're kind of touching against the head. Now the directions don't say anything about spinning the head around, but you will have the head poking straight up in the rectangle mode. If you want, I don't see why it would be a problem to just utilize the ball joint to spin it around. The directions don't say to do that, but I don't see why that would affect anything. So if you want to hide the head, you could go ahead and do that. But otherwise, you're just going to push this up, and then this will just kind of sit here like this, and just kind of straighten these. So that you have this section like that. Then you're going to take the feet, push them up, and they'll tab into the shins. Flip them over. You have these tabs and pegs on the inside of the legs. This is for the weapon storage, so you're going to take this and peg this on like that. You're going to take this one and peg this on like that. Then you're going to bring the other one in, and you're going to tab that on the other side of the weapons like that. And then we're going to utilize the ab crunch to bring this around like so, and then flip this up, and then the arms will just kind of nestle on the inside of the legs. They don't really peg in here or anything like that. They just kind of, there's kind of like a natural little spot, like a little area that these little tabby type areas here will kind of just nestle in. So it kind of aligns it, but it doesn't like firmly peg in or anything like that. But there you go. There is your rectangle. So like I said, you can see the head popping up there. I don't think it would be an issue. Let's just go ahead and try it. If we flip the head around with that ball joint, pop these in, this comes up. Yeah, it really makes no difference. So if you want to hide the head, you totally can. But the directions don't say to. It doesn't matter. Personal preference. But let's go ahead. Let's try to fit him into Soundwave. All right, here we go. Bring in Soundwave. Pop this open. Drop him inside here. It's not really closing. Not really sure what I am doing wrong here. Now it's just stuck. Okay, so as you can tell, this is G1 Soundwave. Unfortunately, I don't have the Bumblebee Soundwave handy. It got packed away a while ago. So just having a little bit of fun there. But yeah, he's just a little rectangular cube. It should have no issue popping into Bumblebee Soundwave from what I've seen online. But unfortunately, I don't have him handy. He's been packed away to make room for more releases, as Hasbro never stops. But he is a fun little rectangle, and you should have no problem fitting him inside. So at the end of the day, is this guy worth it? Probably not. Personally, I like it. I like the little design. I love the colors, the paint applications, and I just kind of like Rumble as a character. But this is not a perfect figure. I mean, the pile drivers don't really work. They should be longer. It has a hard time kind of reaching the ground. I wish if they had just put a little swivel in right here. Now, again, I know these are kind of thin, so maybe it's not possible. I'm not a toy engineer, and I understand that. But if they could have found a way to put a little swivel in, and then they could have molded a fist in here, I think that really could have made all the difference. Because then you could have the pile drivers, just rotate it 90 degrees, have a fist molded in, maybe have it able to hold a weapon, whether they could put a hole in there. Again, I don't know if that's possible given how thin it is, or even if they just had a tab it could connect to so it could look like you'd hold the gun. Plus then this bend could actually double as an elbow if you were able to rotate it. I think that would have been absolutely fantastic. Again, I understand he is a tiny guy, and maybe that's just not possible with plastic strengths once you put slits in or mushroom pegs or drill holes. I get all that. I don't understand all the limitations there, so maybe it wasn't possible. But I feel like it's kind of the same situation we run into like with the 86 Rumble, where, you know, is this much toy worth $10, $11? I don't know. At least with 86 Rumble, he had the guns on the back, and he had the separate pile driver pieces, so it kind of felt worth it. Yes, he was a smaller figure, but he came with some larger accessories, and that kind of bridged the gap. This guy doesn't have anything like that. And the guns that he comes with are kind of minimal. You know, the ones that came with 86 Rumble, I think, were a little bit more substantial. These two are meant to peg together to be used as a weapon for larger Transformers, but as we saw, it's a little dinky. It doesn't really work there. I kind of wish, just for my own personal preference, I wish they were symmetrical, just because I think that look is cooler. And having them both be kind of different, you know, depths away from the body looks a little weird to me. But again, I believe that's because they had to put in this extra ring here to fit into the fist of the larger Transformers. So, again, is he a perfect figure? No. Do I personally kind of like him? I do. I kind of like him. You know, I don't know. I just, he hits the right spot for me. I think he's fun. You know, do you want to maybe wait for a sale for this one? I think that is probably a decent idea. Maybe like a buy one, get one half off or 20% off. Target does stuff like that from time to time. So I think if you could get this guy for closer to, you know, $7 to $8, I think that's probably more in the range. He just doesn't come with a lot, but I think he's fun. I do like him. I mean, if they do it again as Frenzy, which they probably will, I'd probably still get it. Maybe I'd wait for a sale the second time around, just because, like I said, to me, he's very small. He doesn't come with a lot of accessories, but I do feel like they tried their best with the paint applications. I feel like they tried to pour the value in that regard, and I do think it looks pretty good. It's just, if we think about some other like recent Studio Series releases, and we have Noah here, if I can get Noah to stand, he doesn't always like to stand, and then I have to zoom out so you can see he's almost twice as big, and he's got this massive backpack thing. So, like, I felt like, okay, yes, this is worth $10, $11, $12, and you're trying to tell me that these are equal. And in my mind, they just don't feel equal. I'm sorry. They just don't really feel equal. And I feel like Noah had a decent amount of paint as well, especially over here. So I don't really see... Not that they skimped on the paint. They definitely didn't. He looks good. I just feel like trying to tell me this guy's in the same range as those other $10 to $12 figures, I just don't buy it. I'm sorry. I just don't. If they had done a 2-pack with him and Frenzy and said, you know, now it's $15 or something like that, I think that would have been a better idea. But again, they don't have a price point for that to go to retail, so I understand they're limited by that as well. So I don't know. I understand the struggle, but I also feel like this wasn't it. So I don't know. But again, it's a fun little figure. I do like him as a fun little figure. He's definitely not perfect, and I think he's overpriced. But if you can find him for a good deal, he's fun. I'll give him that. He's fun. So I like that. Let me know what you guys think. Am I being too hard on him? Do you agree? Do you think he's overpriced? You know, I think even if they could have done same figure, same price, but given us the swivel so that we could have the molded in hands and then have the guns peg in, I think that would have gone a long way. Or just given us normal hands and then, just like with the 86 release, give us the extra pile driver pieces. I would have been totally fine with it. So again, let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.